Welcome, focused learners. Let's get right into today's explainer. We're looking at something a little bit different today. It's highly contemplative, beautifully poetic, but, still fiercely practical. We are unpacking a document called Truth, Reasons, written by Oluyomi Ola David. If you're someone who loves structured thought that actually challenges how you live your day-to-day life, well, you are absolutely in the right place. We're going to unpack her philosophy step by step and see exactly how she bridges deep spiritual truths with real-world pragmatism.
Okay, let's dive into this. Gratitude is an investment. Why spend your time? Right off the bat, she takes a concept we usually think of as just an emotion, gratitude, and completely reframes it as an economic asset, an investment. It kind of stops you in your tracks, doesn't it? She is immediately pulling us into this framework where literally every action, every single thought, and every virtue has a direct, tangible consequence. So, before we go any further, let's meet Oluyomi Ola David, the architect of the words.
Before we really dissect her poetic pairings, we kind of need to establish her worldview. Oluyomi Ola David is a proud Nigerian with just this deep, abiding love for people. But, and this is key, her love isn't just sentimental. She is highly concerned about global development and actual transformation. She's not just, sitting in a room writing poetry in a vacuum. No, she's looking at the world, looking at the people in it, and actively desiring to see real growth and global change.
And that actually brings us to her professional drive, influencing policy, shaping strategy, and providing clarity. This is what makes her writing so fascinating to me. Her poetic, almost proverb-like words, they're deeply rooted in a desire for practical, real-world impact. When she talks about these big, abstract concepts, she's doing it with the mind of a strategist, trying to shape policy. She wants her words to generate actual, usable clarity for our lives.
All right, let's look at Theme 1, Resources of Life.
Now, what's really interesting about this setup is how she views our personal traits and our time as capital. Capital that we are entirely responsible for managing. Look at the sheer tension here. Vigor is an asset. She sees the raw energy of youth not just as a fleeting phase, but as a literal asset on your balance sheet. And then the tension hits with the second half. Why dissipate your youth? She's challenging us directly. Why on earth would you take the greatest natural energy you'll ever possess and just waste it?
She applies that exact same practical logic to the past. History is a mirror. Why neglect your manual? I mean, think about how brilliant that framing is. She doesn't look at history as just some dusty timeline of events you memorize for a test. For her, it's a practical, everyday instruction manual for navigating the present. If history is a mirror reflecting human nature, neglecting it means you're basically trying to build your future without reading the instructions. Good luck with that, right?
Then, consider this metaphor. Openness is a market. Why sell off your future? She treats openness, like our willingness to engage, to trade ideas, to be vulnerable, as a bustling marketplace. But then she hits us with a really stark warning against mortgaging your future for quick, short-term gains. In a market, you can make good trades or bad trades. She is urgently telling you not to sell out your long-term potential just because the market happens to be open today.
Moving on to Theme 2, Guarding Your Perception.
So the crucial point is how she shifts our focus inward. She views our senses as literal gates protecting our inner world. Ear is a tool. Why block your heart? She's suggesting that the physical act of hearing, or actually maybe it's more about what we choose to listen to, directly impacts the emotional receptivity of our heart. If you misuse the tool of your ear, you end up building a brick wall around your heart.
Eye is a gate. Why blur your vision? I just want to pause here for a second. Really think about that question. If your eye is a gate, that means you have the authority to open and close it. How often do we let just anything pass through our visual gates? We consume so much media, focused on things that ultimately just blur our actual vision for our lives. She is challenging you to be a very strict guard at the gate of your own mind.
Let's move to and see how this builds into Theme 3, Investing in Virtues.
She takes this whole idea of guarding your perception and uses it to protect what she considers the absolute most vital investments of all, the seeds of the soul: obedience, truth, purity, faith, gratitude. Stacking these positive attributes builds a real crescendo in her moral philosophy. These are the specific virtues she values most, and notice they aren't passive traits. In her framework, as we've seen, these are incredibly active, powerful forces. Let's see exactly how she defines them.
Obedience is a seed. Why waste your harvest? She establishes a strict, undeniable cause and effect relationship right here. You literally cannot have a harvest later if you don't plant the seed of obedience right now. Refusing to obey the right principles today isn't just, a minor mistake in her eyes. It's the literal destruction of your own future success.
Next, we have truth is a treasure. Why waste your substance? The word substance is just so heavy and intentional here. She doesn't frame truth as this abstract concept or some fleeting idea. She frames it as a highly tangible substance of immense value. It's capital, it's treasure. To lie or to live falsely is to literally bankrupt yourself of your own substance.
Purity is a fountain. Why pollute your stream? Think about this for your own life right now. A fountain flows outward, affecting absolutely everything downstream. If you compromise your inner integrity, your purity, you aren't just hurting yourself in a vacuum. You are polluting the very stream of water that you and everyone around you has to drink from. So why would you poison your own well?
And this brilliantly illustrates the consistency of her logic. Faith is a good. Why despise your virtue? Again, she's using economic language here. A good, like goods and services. Faith is both an economic and a moral asset. She warns us not to undervalue our own inherent virtue. If you despise or kind of look down on your own faith, you are throwing away one of the most valuable goods you could possibly possess.
Which brings us to the conclusion, the ultimate anchor.
We've looked at her views on resources, on perception, on virtue, but all of it stems from this one foundational source. She writes, "My Father God owns and rules the universe. He is. This right here is the deep spiritual bedrock from which all of Iliome Oladavid's philosophy flows. Because she believes the universe is owned and ruled by a creator with intentionality, it means every single resource, every gate of our senses, and every virtue carries profound weight and purpose. We're managers of an estate we didn't create. So I'm going to leave you with a provocative thought to take away from our explainer today. She has clearly defined the bedrock that drives her to seek clarity and influence the world. But what foundational belief is currently driving the daily investments of your time, your truth, and your vigor?